Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. And of course, here's the meme of the day, brought to you by FiveMind.com. Now remember a couple months ago when Gavin Newsom was all the rage? He had all his press people, his little minions, engaging in one of the most cringe antagonistic social media campaigns I think I've ever seen. And we know exactly how that kind of toxic behavior works with the left-wing base. Boy, did it shoot his political stock up right in the air. But even though there's all this talk of Gavin Newsom being the next nominee, Gavin Newsom being an unstoppable political force, in reality I think it's kind of a pipe dream. You know, the blue Anon people, they'll shill for anyone. You got a D next to your name and you got a big frickin' mouth, well then you're automatically the next coming of Barack Obama. But as you know, you need more than just the blue Anon crowd. You need to convince everybody else. And well, I'm not so sure that's in the cards for Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom's political image is so frickin' bad that it appears even the Hollywood celebrity class is starting to turn on him. This guy has way too many skeletons in his closet, and now with the increased federal pressure on these states, well, the Trump DOJ is likely to be opening the door of said closet. And so not only do I think Gavin Newsom will never be president, but I don't even think he's going to be able to survive the onslaught that is coming his way, an onslaught of accountability and exposure. Let's talk about it. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so like I said earlier, it appears as though the celebrity class in California and Hollywood, some of them are starting to wake up, and well, it's not looking so good for the slick-haired sociopath running California. Take a look at this from actor David Spade. He's going viral for this observation of Gavin Newsom's leadership.
The same broader problem with people paying taxes in California when they're building $100 billion train to Sacramento, San Francisco area, that I don't know if everyone's clamoring for it when you could take 10 billion and probably fix a lot of problems in California. But they keep pushing this 10-year thing about the train. That's just one of the crazy things. The homeless, they lose 20 billion, but they want more money for it. That's why people get tired of paying taxes and going, well, what are you doing? Gavin Newsom just vetoed a bill asking for an audit of where the money for homeless goes. He said, not a chance. It's just frustrating because you go, well, you can't ask for more. I mean, if someone's, if you're in a household and someone's blowing all the money, you go, what are you spending it on? Don't worry about it. Just give us more money. You go, well, I'd like to see something. And if it's fixing homeless, great, but don't just take it and then be like, homeless has gotten worse. You go, it's like, but you just.
And yes, my friends, this really happened. Gavin blocked bills for an audit multiple times. You got bipartisan bill AB 2903, which was unanimously passed, 72-0 in the Assembly and 40-0 in the Senate, and that would have forced annual public reports on where the money is going. But guess what? Gavin Newsom came in and vetoed it. He also vetoed similar bills, namely AB 2570 and AB 2093. In other words, Gavin Newsom doesn't believe in taxpayer transparency. And I wonder why. Well, obviously, it's because nothing makes sense in California. They spent billions upon billions of dollars and achieved nothing. In fact, they achieved negative results. Things got worse. I mean, look in California, homelessness has reached epidemic levels. In fact, it's so freaking bad that the official webpage for the Los Angeles, California 2008 Olympics sports a beautiful photo of downtown Los Angeles. And well, people noticed something a little bit peculiar in that photo. It appears there's homeless encampments and trash frickin' everywhere.
I'm on the website right now for the Olympics in LA. This is a photo of downtown LA, and what do you see here? What is that? That is a homeless encampment that you will see if you drive down the 10. Yep, you will see that. Or the 110. They're not lying about it, but at least Photoshop that out. Look at the trash. Look at the trash. What are we gonna do, Mayor? What are we gonna do to prepare for the Olympics? Because this here, hey, that's the real LA.
This is Gavin Newsom's California on full display. I mean, you literally cannot make this stuff up. The official Olympics website showcasing California as the host state, there's homeless encampments in the photo. You know, they probably took all kinds of photos, and this was likely the best one. They were probably going through all the photos they took. Oh, fentanyl zombies. Oh, meth maniacs in this one. This one's got syringes and feces everywhere. And so they settled for, you know, trash and homeless encampments. It's an absolute disgrace. And obviously it's a story of abject failure. All this money spent and nothing achieved, probably because the money wasn't spent effectively. You know, I always say throwing money at an issue doesn't solve the issue, but I don't think that's necessarily inherently true. No, I feel like it's more true in terms of governmental spending. You know, there are probably a lot of social issues that could actually be solved or at least ameliorated with taxpayer dollar injection. But the problem is you've got all these corrupt, greedy bureaucrats who obviously have no real intention of solving these problems because they want the gravy train. They just want to continue siphoning more and more dollars. And that's obviously what was going on in California. I mean, we're talking tens of billions of dollars spent on all kinds of different issues. Homelessness, mostly flat land, spending billions of dollars on the project and again achieving nothing. You could almost argue they didn't even get a freaking shovel in the ground yet. They've built like a tiny little bit of track, that's about it. You know, the issue is less throwing money at a problem, the issue is less that you can't fund solutions. It's that the moment you put it in these government bureaucrats' hands, it just gets siphoned off. We're talking massive corruption. Look at what's happening in Minneapolis. And well, one thing I think we know for sure is that whatever we're seeing in Minneapolis, it probably pales in comparison to the massive fraud and corruption and waste in California. It's probably so much worse. And it's obvious that's probably why Gavin Newsom wants to veto these bills. That's why Democrats are doing everything in their power to seal the documents, to hide them. That's why they're refusing to cooperate with these Fed inquiries. And this is happening all over the country, in every single Democrat state.
All the red states sent us their data to help figure out what that looked like. We found 200,000 dead people, or people using dead people's social security numbers. We found 500,000 people getting more than 2 times what they should have, getting those benefits twice. We found some guy getting benefits in 5 states. And Maria, this is just the red states. I mean, the red states normally have a smaller program, tighter accountability and control. The blue states sued us, and so we're in another active litigation on that. They don't want California, New York, they don't want to turn their data over so that we can help them root out the fraud. And then the Minnesota piece, of course, which we've all been covering, is remarkable. So we are in court. We're going to work really hard to make sure we're protecting the American taxpayer and the people who actually need these programs.
They're hiding the money trail, probably because it's going to lead right back to their pockets and their cronies. I mean, no wonder homelessness exploded despite the cash. They created an entire money laundering scheme out of it. They created a homelessness industry. The intent was not to solve homelessness, but to create purpose for all of these consultants and on-the-ground specialists and programs. The money was siphoned by left-wing bureaucrats. I'm telling you, once that Gavin Newsom closet is opened, it's going to be a full-on disaster. It's going to make Tim Walz look like a small fry. And what's likely to follow is the absolute implosion of Gavin Newsom's political stock, which is already kind of happening. Just him the other day with Ben Shapiro stating that he didn't believe that ICE were terrorists. You know, that's already got him in some pretty deep trouble with the Democrats, with these radical left-wing extremists. But everything that's been exposed with Gavin Newsom, that just being the tip of the iceberg, this guy's got so many skeletons in his closet. And just look at what happened to Tim Walz's career. I mean, this guy was rocked by all the exposure in Minnesota. And to be honest, at this point, I'll probably be doing a video on this tomorrow, I'm starting to get convinced that Tim Walz might be facing criminal prosecution here. But you know, it's been so bad, the pressure has been so immense that he's been forced to pull out of the governor's race. Well, what do you think's going to happen when California becomes the focus of fraud, waste, and abuse? Gavin Newsom's little vetoes on these bills, that's just the tip. Once the truth starts being revealed, Gavin Newsom is toast. He's not running for president. In fact, you see in so many polls already, Kamala Harris is taking back her spot as the #1 pick for Democrats. And I gotta tell you, that puts a massive smile on my face because there's all these push polls showing that she's gonna beat JD Vance. She's doing better than Gavin Newsom against JD Vance. And same thing against Marco Rubio. I don't know, I find that hard to believe, but I'm also not exactly stopping these left-wingers. No, go for it, I say. Please, run it back. 2024, round 2, pick cackling Kamala as your leader. I really couldn't think of a better Christmas gift. But anyways, it appears Gavin Newsom is in trouble, politically and possibly legally. We'll be following the story. That's what I got for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.